Hey, welcome to Intuitive Insights with Megan McDonough. I have my wonderful friend London Reber here today, and we had such an amazing time talking and exploring the idea of intuition in our lives and our work, that this is a two-part series. So stay tuned for this first section on pivoting the conversation of life choices with London Reber. Hello and welcome to Intuitive Insights. I'm your host, Megan McDonough. This is where we discuss all things intuition. And today we're working with our interview series, asking fabulous people like our London Reber here, what intuition is to them and how do they use it or utilize it in their life and in their work. So I have the honor and the privilege of introducing my friend here, London Reber. She is a beacon of inspiration and transformation. London was crowned Miss California, United States in 2012. She has since channeled her passion for positive change into her role as a pivot relationship coach, offering invaluable insights and guiding individuals on their journeys to self-improvement. She's a devoted mother and stepmom. Her most recent title is being awarded Super Mom 2023, which is a huge thing. It's a cherished testament to her unwavering dedication to family. I can definitely attest to that. London has been sober for 12 years, and she believes in the power of spirituality to unlock a fulfilling life, and embodying the mantra, changing your mind changes your life. Welcome, London.
Hi.
London and I worked together eons ago at a bar of all places in Venice. And that is how we know each other from years back. But I feel like we've been a million different people since then. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, and always still ourselves,
Yes. Yes.
Like you and I were attracted to each other then, and now we've gone on all these journeys to get to where we are, and we're still attracted to each other now.
100%, 100%. And, yes, absolutely. Like the core of us, our souls are connected, but the life stages change.
And possibly we were still intuitively guided back then, even though we had all these things that were blocking it, that we have now been able to uncover and discard.
And admit
Yes.
how guided we are, So on that note, let's kick off these questions. What is intuition to you, Miss London Reber?
Okay. Yeah. So the way I use intuition, I'd say on a daily basis, is I believe in intuitive thought. I have been able to start, as I've tried to get more connected with a higher power. I was introduced to that through my sobriety and the necessity of developing a relationship with a higher power of my own understanding. And as I attempted to get more connected with that, I was able to discern the sound of my own chatter, my conditioning, my disease, my younger parts of self, still in there, and then my intuitive thought. Like one kind of sounds like a yappy chihuahua. It's like,
yeah.
Yep. And the other one is kind of like the howl of a wolf, right? Like my intuitive thought, it comes in and it's like I can hear the difference of turn left here when you would normally drive straight. Every time you take this route, let's just turn left this time, right? Versus oh my gosh, there's traffic and da 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 da. I can now turn up the volume intentionally on my intuitive thought and turn down the volume on the rest of the chatter.
Yeah. Do you find so I actually just did a podcast on this, intuition versus instinct, but I find that the voice of intuition there's a quality of it that's easy, quiet, like it's quieter, it's a little easier, and it's not attached to anything emotionally. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't have anxiety attached or fear attached or worry attached. It's just kind of like a thought.
So
How do you
I
feel about
agree. I agree that it's definitely like the one that's down underneath like this, or, my higher power, I was able to just define as love, and all the things that you just mentioned, anxiety, fear, right? Those are all just in the fear umbrella, basically to me, worry, obsession, compulsion. And so if I'm doing something loving, thinking something loving, saying something loving, then I believe that I'm in my God's spirit will for my life, right? And so the ability to hear something loving is not forceful and it's not pressuring me, and versus the other one. So yeah, there is an actual like sense physically in my body for one or the other, when it's an instinct like this or when it's like intuition. Like one's pulling me along and the other one's like
yeah,
pushing.
yeah. Qualities are definitely different. Like the style of vibration is different.
Mm,
Like the tempo and the volume, and like like you were kind of just demonstrating, like legato, that term you'd use in music, which is just kind of smooth, versus staccato, which is that
yeah.
that that kind of chihuahua like energy. So you kind of spoke to this a little bit, but so you're a pivot relationship coach, and I know you pull a lot of your intuition into your work, but what does that look like for you? And is that something you always did or made a conscious effort to bring in? Or,
Sure. Yeah, I actually you introduced me to Earth Magic Academy a while back when you went through it, and it took me a few years to hop on the bandwagon. So I just completed that actually for a whole year. I did phase one and phase two, and I completed that in March. And that has definitely supported me to bring my intuition into my pivot work even more. I do believe that I always had this strong gut feeling and guidance, even in like playing sports and stuff. Like I could sense the people like what that I couldn't see. And even my daughter, she's like, "How did you know that, Mom? You were looking in the other direction." And I'm like,
feel my body. I feel,
right?
yeah.
So I think the most powerful way that I use it in my work is by not rushing and not feeling like I need to solve or fix their problems or them. That I am there to guide the journey of their self discovery. And I use the curriculum to do that. And I ask questions, a lot of questions. And then if I'm feeling like shook up at all, or in pivot terms, like if I'm rocked out of my healthy adult, out of my alignment, then I allow myself to take a pause and I say, like, let me just take that in for a second. And then I respond instead of react.
Mm, I love that. I love that. Um, Speaking of pivot, can you talk a little bit about what it is and how you got involved in it?
Absolutely. I would love to. Thank you. I got certified as a coach almost 5 years ago. And about 10 years ago, this August, September, I actually went to the retreat portion as a client myself. So it's a curriculum-based process. And back then it was only a retreat, and it was a 12-day retreat. So now it's 5 days.
Okay.
And so it's a little less intense. Yeah.
Efficient, yeah.
It's more accessible for more people.
Yeah.
And yet I was full immersion 12 days in. And at the time when you left the retreat, there was no real aftercare follow-up, which now my coaching is part of that. That's how the coaching actually got developed, because it's through Zoom or the phone if you need the phone. And so when Lori Jean Glass, who's the founder and creator of the process, she wrote a book called #HealthyAdult. And she was doing her book launch in LA, which is where I currently live. And she invited me to come. And I went and I found out that there was the coaching aspect. And currently at the time, I was doing sober companioning, which is really intense. A lot of my clients, I was live in with them. And There is a treatment team aspect of that. And I'm there when I was a sober companion, I was there to like observe and report to the treatment team, like boots on the ground. And yet in real time in their home, it was a bit of throwing noodles against the wall and seeing what sticks.
Yeah.
And that I use my intuition constantly there, right? Like, how do I stay in my healthy adult alignment while someone else is in the most challenging time of their life? And in early sobriety and all the things. So I found out about the coaching option and I was like, immediately, I need this. I want to do this. This is me. Yes, please. And I got certified. So I was already doing distance coaching like this when COVID happened. And I was able to continue working with my clients and homeschool during that time. And then since I have transitioned to fully just pivot coaching. It is for anyone and everyone. It's for a lot of people will come for a specific relationship and then realize that it's mostly about the relationship with ourselves and, uh, you know, like, and how we are attaching in situations with different people, places, and things, how the essence of our younger parts of self is still alive in us and will jump in the driver's seat when something feels familiar and we'll be attracted to that regardless of the merit. Um, and really it's looking at our survival patterns and how we can pivot into repairs and healthy do's instead of these habitual do's that we're constantly like just on autopilot in. We use something that I love. It's like the foundation of it all. It's called the whole perspective. And it's basically like a lens you can start to view your life through. And it's takes into consideration 5 different categories. So it's emotional, physical, intellectual, financial, and spiritual.
I love that.
Yeah. So it's a lot of people will get into like an intimate relationship based on like 2 of the categories, maybe 3,
Right.
and not even consider the other or just paint the red flags green.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So once you get this tool in your tool belt and you start really using it, it's so powerful for any decision you're wanting to make. Like, should I change my job? Do we want to move? And you can consider like how much time is spent in traffic and what does that do to my intellect and my spirit and my physical time, like where that's spent. Is it worth that promotion, the money, right? So trying to have all of those as balanced as possible, or like at least around a 7, because the goal is to be in our healthy adult 70% of the day.
It's a fair.
Right? It's realistic. and it's a C average, So it's like, okay, the other 30%, maybe your child part of self or your teenager who might be like feisty or who's really trying to individuate in a circumstance, right? Or your adult self that is not necessarily your healthy adult. One of those other 3 parts gets in the driver's seat and is driving the car the other 30% of the day. And that's okay because we have repairs for that. And we have this healthy adult muscle that can come